This video will present my top NFL picks for Week 12. Happy Thanksgiving to all of my American friends watching my YouTube videos on a regular basis. I appreciate you. The NFL picks performed admirably well once again last week. Indeed, we picked up a 5-1 record on sides and totals and 4-3 on player proposition bets. Let's keep grinding together, folks. My first NFL pick for Week 12 is the Pittsburgh Steelers straight up in Cincinnati. The Steelers have failed to top 400 total yards in 58 straight games, the second longest streak in NFL history. However, they finally fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada, and I believe that could spark their offense. Many players had expressed some frustration recently, and I'm sure they will be super motivated to prove that the problem was their OC, not the players themselves. The guys on offense will clearly play with a chip on their shoulders this Sunday. To me, the mindset will be much more positive on Pittsburgh's side. They are probably relieved by the firing of Matt Canada, while Cincinnati's players are probably deflated after losing Joe Burrow for the season with a wrist injury. Jake Browning will take over as the Bengals starting QB this weekend. The 27-year-old had not completed a pass in the NFL prior to last Thursday. He was an undrafted free agent out of Washington, and he has been with Cincy since 2021. He knows the system well, and I have to admit I'm a bit worried about his running abilities. However, ultimately, I trust Pittsburgh's defense more. The Bengals rank next to last in terms of yards per carry average, which bodes well for the Steelers, who have managed to get good production on the ground this season. Their running back duo of Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris can do some damage, and I think they will control this game. So for all of those reasons, give me the Steelers to pick up the W at Paycor Stadium this weekend. My second official NFL pick for Week 12 goes to the Buffalo Bills plus 3.5 points in Philadelphia. Sitting on a 6-5 record and with a brutal remaining schedule, the Bills are the more desperate team. Meanwhile, the Eagles are coming off an emotional win over the Chiefs on Monday night, a game in which Kansas City's miscues kept Philly in the game. Josh Allen responded well after the team fired Ken Dorsey, their former offensive coordinator. Buffalo put up 32 points on the board against a very stout Jets defense, which was their highest number of points they had allowed the entire season. Many people keep repeating how Buffalo's defense is suspect after losing key starters like Tre'Davious White and Matt Milano to injuries. However, surprisingly enough, they have kept fighting and doing a very decent job. Indeed, they have allowed just 18 points per game during the past 4 contests. The Eagles lose one day of rest and preparation after playing the Monday Nighter. That's bad news when you are about to face a strong team like Buffalo. The Bills' 6-5 record is a bit misleading because they are boasting the 4th best point differential in the league at plus 104. As a comparison, Philadelphia's point differential stands at plus 61. Jalen Hurts has won each of his past 13 games against teams with a winning record, the longest streak in NFL history. It can be scary betting against that trend, but I'm giving it a shot. Philly's defense is allowing the 5th most passing yards per game, so I'm guessing Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs are licking their chops right now. The Eagles are a good team, but they are not a juggernaut. To me, the Bills winning the game or losing by a maximum of 3 points has much more than a 55 or 60% chance of happening. So I'll take Buffalo and the 3.5 points. The rest of my picks should be viewed as unofficial picks or leans. I don't like them enough to bet, but you might want to consider them as good candidates. Lean number 1 goes to the San Francisco 49ers laying 7 points in Seattle. Kyle Shanahan's team destroyed its opponents through their first 5 games, winning by an average of 19.8 points. Then they went through a more difficult 3-game stretch, but you could attribute this rough period of time to the absence of Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams. Now the team seems back on track after handling easily the Jaguars in Jacksonville, as well as the Tampa Bay Bucks last week. Meanwhile, I feel like Seattle is headed in the opposite direction. Last week, they blew a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter. This loss will sting, especially considering they are about to face the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the 49ers twice. To top it all off, the Seahawks are very likely to be without their starting running back, Kenneth Walker, and their starting QB, Geno Smith, suffered an elbow injury. Will the 49ers face a hobbled Geno Smith or a healthy Drew Lock? In both cases, that's a favorable matchup for the team from the Bay Area. I think the 49ers will dismantle their division rivals in this one. My second lean goes to the Patriots as 3-point favorites against the Giants. In short, I have a lot of factors telling me to bet New England, but I have to admit that grabbing the Patriots to win by 4 points or more on the road sounds a bit scary. Let me share with you the numerous arguments backing the Pats. First, Bill Belichick is known for eating rookie quarterbacks for breakfast. Tommy DeVito was impressive last week, but I don't think it's going to last. He got sacked 9 times, which shows how porous New York's offensive line is. DeVito's top target last week was Darius Slayton, but the latter exited the game in the second quarter and never returned. Will he be back on the field this Sunday? Only time will tell. The rest factor favors New England in a big way. As a matter of fact, the Patriots are coming off their bye week, while the Giants just played 3 consecutive games on the road. Don't underestimate the value of this piece of information. This could also be a letdown game for New York. Why? Because they are coming off a couple of divisional games against the Cowboys and the Commanders, so facing a non-conference opponent won't be nearly as exciting. Their energy level could be down. So if forced to bet, I would go with New England minus 3 points, but that feels dicey given New England's struggles on the offensive side of the ball. My third lean goes to the Cleveland Browns as 2.5-point underdogs in Denver. Among all of my leans, this may be the one I feel the strongest about. I might end up placing an actual bet on the Browns later this week. The Broncos have surprised many by winning their past 4 games, including matchups against the Bills and the Chiefs. During this great run, Denver has posted a jaw-dropping plus 11 turnover differential. That is not sustainable in the long run, though. This might feel weird, but the Broncos have not been all that impressive during this winning streak. They have played super conservative football, waiting for their opponents to make mistakes. Russell Wilson has been captain check down. He rarely attempts medium to long throws. Cleveland's defense has allowed an average of 243.3 yards per game this season. That is the lowest average since the 2008 Steelers, which is quite an accomplishment. I am aware that this will be Dorian Thompson-Robinson's first road game and that the Broncos will be at home for the 5th week over the past 6. Still, I think the defense and the running game will carry the Browns to victory. Did you know that Denver allows 5.5 yards per carry, which is the highest figure in the NFL? That fits very well with Cleveland's game plan, so I like the Browns to pull off the upset here. Let me discuss a couple more games here. In the Sunday night game, should we take the Ravens or the Chargers? Baltimore is established as 3.5-point favorite, and I am really torn on this one. If you have been following me for a while, you have heard me speak before about a scientific report that mentioned how peak athletic performance occurs in the late afternoon. So, whenever an East Coast team plays a West Coast team in a late primetime game, that gives an edge to the team from the West, because that game feels like a 5 p.m. match to them instead of 8 p.m. According to this piece of information, we should be leaning towards the Chargers. Moreover, it is interesting to note how 5 of LA's 6 losses occurred by a margin of 3 points or fewer. That being said, I am not thrilled by the idea of wagering on the Chargers. One of their rare good defensive players, Joey Bosa, may be out for the year. That is a big blow to a defense that was already among the league's worst. Also, I believe head coach Brandon Staley is on the hot seat right now, and I could see a scenario where the Chargers get blown out and he gets fired after the game. In the end, I would tend to go with Los Angeles, but with very little confidence. That would be my 4th lean for Week 12. Finally, lean number 5 goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars straight up in Houston. Rookie quarterback CJ Stroud has been performing at a very high level since entering the league. But did you notice how he has turned the ball over 3 times in each of his past 2 games? The team still managed to win both contests, but that could prove costly against the Jaguars. I am aware that Jacksonville holds an abysmal 1-10 record over the past 11 meetings with the Texans. However, I expect them to be razor sharp in order to avenge a disappointing 37-17 defeat against those same Texans back in Week 3. In that game, the Jags picked up 22 first downs versus 15 for Houston, but still lost by a large margin. I believe Jacksonville will get the win this time around. The most valuable NFL picks concern player proposition bets. Such lines are much easier to beat, as evidenced by the fact that sportsbooks limit bets to a much lower amount than on sides and totals. For example, they might limit you to a maximum of $200 on props versus $10,000 on sides and totals. They are aware that they may not post accurate lines for every single player. We have been taking advantage of such wager types for several years, and this season has been no different. So far in the 2023 NFL regular season, we have accumulated 47 wins and 29 losses on NFL player prop bets. If you had risked just 1 unit per play on such betting tips, your total net gain right now would be 12.80 units. You can get those premium picks by joining the 200 plus other smart sports gamblers at mjpicks.com. I'm Professor MJ, holder of a Ph.D. in statistics, wishing you a great and lucrative Week 12 in the NFL.